All right, I've known about D-Wave since grad school, and I mean, to be honest, initially we were very skeptical because it was very clear back then that quantum computing was a long way off. But to their credit, when you went to the website, and they made it very clear that they did not have a quantum computer back then, but they did quantum annealing. So um, they were pushing forward, trying to develop the engineering and the technology in collaboration with large companies. And to be honest, in hindsight, looking at the entire picture, they did a very good job. So kudos to them at keeping the company alive, not overhyping, so that there was this huge disappointment and crash. They survived. I'm guessing like about 20 years or more now, about that period of time. So I'm curious to see what the current CEO has to say. It says, our quantum is already useful. So let's find out.
Among the panelists, you maintained those areas that you don't agree with Jensen Huang on. How in any way has your mind changed on those differences through the course of today?
Well, my mind has not changed. The fact of the matter is that we at D-Wave have taken a very different approach to quantum computing from everybody else in the industry. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, we are actually able to support useful, important applications today. And I think the best example of that is the paper that we published in Science last week, where we have demonstrated that we can compute properties of magnetic materials that just cannot be computed classically. And this gives us the opportunity to create new materials discovery platforms, which will dramatically reduce the time and cost to create new materials. And that seems pretty useful to me.
Yeah, there's also some applications that the audience might find harder to understand. For example,
Okay, that's interesting. So let's dig it out. Science, D-Wave, magnetic materials. Nature first quantum. That's. He said science, but I'm not. Beyond classical, D-Wave first to demonstrate quantum supremacy on useful real-world problem. I'm guessing this is it. New landmark peer-reviewed paper published in Science. This is the one, I guess. Beyond classical computation and quantum simulation. Unequivocally validates D-Wave's achievement of the world's first and only demonstration of quantum computational supremacy on a useful real-world problem. Good for them. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping it's real. This would be very cool. Research shows that D-Wave annealing a quantum computer performs magnetic materials simulation in minutes that would take nearly 1 million years and more for the world's annual electricity consumption to solve using classical supercomputer built with GPU clusters. D-Wave Advantage 2 annealing quantum computer prototype used in supremacy achievement, a testament to the system's remarkable performance capabilities. D-Wave, a leader in quantum computing systems, software, and services, and the world's first commercial supplier of quantum computers, today announced a scientific breakthrough published in the esteemed journal Science with a link. All right. Now, is Science, did they make it available? Is it open source, or do I need to be a free member? The abstract in Science is quantum computers hold the promise of solving certain problems that lie beyond the reach of conventional computers. Establishing this capability, especially for impactful and meaningful problems, remain a central challenge. Here we show that superconducting quantum annealing processes can rapidly generate samples in close agreement with solutions of the Schrödinger equation. We demonstrate area law scaling of entanglement in the model quench dynamics of 2, 3, and infinite dimension spin glasses, supporting the observed stretched exponential scaling of effort for matrix product state approaches. We show that several leading approximate methods based on tensor networks and neural networks cannot achieve the same accuracy as the quantum annealer within a reasonable time frame. Thus, quantum annealers can answer questions of practical importance that may remain out of reach for classical computation. So going back here, we demonstrate area law scaling. Okay. All right, so we demonstrate area law scaling of entanglement. So I'm guessing this means how entanglement scales, as in area law. In the model quench dynamics, of 2, 3, and infinite dimensional spin glosses. So square cubing, Ising spin. Hey, I love science, man. They just let you read it. Oh my god, science is the best. Quenching a quantum spin gloss. And it's great that D-Wave chose to publish in Science so we can see it. This is great. So you got your Pauli matrices. Quenching a quantum spin gloss. Alright, you know what? I'm not gonna try to understand this and explain it right here. That would be painful for everyone involved. So let me just go back to the CEO and then I'll read this and then do maybe a separate summary on it.
Example, blockchain architecture. Why is a quantum computer able to improve that process where a supercomputer classically coded in ones and zeros cannot?
Yeah. So basically what we did was we were able to show that that same computation that we use to compute properties of magnetic materials could be used to basically compute the hashing functions that are used in blockchain and cryptocurrency. What this means is that we can now create a block.
Wait, let me hear that
There's
again.
also
Sorry.
some applications that the audience might find harder to understand. For example, blockchain
Hashing
architecture.
functions for
Why
blockchain.
is a quantum computer able to improve that process where a supercomputer classically coded in ones and zeros cannot?
Yeah. So basically what we did was we were able to show that that same computation that we use to compute properties of magnetic materials could be used to basically compute the hashing functions that are used in blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Okay, I need to follow through on this. That's pretty cool.
What this means is that we can now create a blockchain that uses a quantum computer to do the proof of work. What's so important about that is that quantum computers consume far less energy than classical computers. So this means cryptocurrency mining could be at a fraction of the energy cost of what we're seeing today.
When are those two case studies?
Ooh, that's really cool, man. Okay, I'm going to try to dive into this. All right, Bloomberg. Do me a solid here, man.
Revenue generators for you?
Well, the first prototype of this blockchain is running right now. We have it running on 4 of our quantum computers. It's the first distributed quantum application where each of the quantum computers can, create hashes or validate hashes, basically run the proof of work algorithm. And we're now in the process of building that out so we can get to the point where we can support a full commercial blockchain. How long do I think that'll take? I think we're looking at a year or 2.
Not the 10 or 15 or 20 years.
Absolutely not the 10 or 15 or 20 years.
So
a year or 2 to do a commercial quantum blockchain. Yeah, I know cryptocurrency, you guys are all going nuts over this, but the applications are well beyond that. Blockchain is a separate technology. And so, nice.
there is work that NVIDIA...
And I mean, I'm not saying cryptocurrencies are completely useless, but, wow, if you can use this to lower energy consumption is a big thing, but Man.
But by the way,
Please,
Ed,
yeah.
I mean, that's just one application, right? I mean, the materials discovery, that's running today. We have customers like NTT Docomo that are using us today for cell tower resource optimization. So we are useful today. Blockchain is one of our newest application areas, and yes, we're just starting to roll that out.
The point of difference,
All
I
right.
still think is Jensen's definition of usefulness, perhaps. But NVIDIA does do work with your industry. To summarize, it's basically offering GPU access on the architecture side.
Look, the bottom line is Jensen is he's finally had some success. He's more than just a hero for gamers and like Uber nerds, right? So he's finally gaining some traction and attention. So I mean, not trying to, but do find a point in it, but he's not too enthusiastic about the idea of AI, which is something he can wrap his brain around and understand, being superseded fairly quickly if it happens with quantum, which I don't think he would ever be able to understand. A lot of classical computing people struggle really to make the like I thought it would have been like an easy transition, but a lot of classical people struggle to make that transition.
As well as some research and open source facilities on the other side. And their argument is you can take that and use it to make your quantum computers better. Calibration, error count reduction, and I think your colleagues mentioned design. How do you work with NVIDIA?
Okay, so annealing quantum computers do not have the same error.
And I'm not sure if they rebranded or changed the name. They used to call it quantum annealers, and I think maybe it confused people and maybe made it harder for them to raise funding. And so I think they've changed it to annealing quantum computers.
Error correction requirements as gate model quantum computers. So we are solving useful problems today without error correction. And as a result, that component of what NVIDIA brings to the table is not all that important to us today. When it comes to calibration, we have the largest quantum computers in the world. Our current systems are at 5,000 qubits and growing. We calibrate them ourselves. We don't need GPU power
So that's all to
to
say you don't
calibrate
work
those
with
systems.
Yeah, so just to clarify, they don't have a universal quantum computer. It can't solve every quantum computing problem. They specifically design their system, so they hardwire it so that it can only solve a small subset of quantum computer problems. So this way it's sort of like a truncated or limited quantum computer, but by doing so, they're able to get some useful answers out. So that's why they say annealer or annealing. Is it effectively, if I remember correctly, it's sort of like an adiabatic soft sort of transition. It's been a while since I read their papers, but it's like a soft transition, and effectively it's an evolution of the Hamiltonian. So essentially it's a yeah, I mean, I am completely just making stuff up at this time, but if I remember correctly, it's you set it up, you create the Hamiltonian, and then you slowly propagate it through time, and then you read out in the end. So it's very problem specific.
So
And you could, like he said, find an analogy and then use the same process for something else.
currently, we do not. I mean, I know Jensen says he works with all the quantum computing companies, but D-Wave is quite different. We've taken a different approach. We are at a different level of maturity, much more mature than the other quantum computing companies. We are delivering useful applications and useful value today. Now, that having been said, we are also developing a gate model quantum computer, the approach that everybody else has taken. For that effort, we will be looking to leverage some of the same sorts of things that the other quantum computing companies are leveraging. But we view annealing and gate as very complementary. They solve different classes of problems.
We only have 30
I
seconds.
mean, the D-Wave people, they're smart. I mean, they are smart. So, watch out for them.
It was a pretty public disagreement, argument, debate. Will it help you in the long run, what happened today here in San Jose?
I don't think this event was all that helpful to the industry or to D-Wave. I think I thank Jensen for the opportunity to participate. I think that it was great to have the opportunity to try to get the message out. But I think we're still at the beginning of a learning curve with respect to how NVIDIA and Jensen interact with quantum computing companies.
Every business needs.
Yeah, I mean, like Silicon Valley, I'll be honest, is not exactly bleeding edge. It's sort of cutting edge, sort of every now and then, but it's mostly just established tech. So when something bleeding edge becomes more normalized, then they move over here to hire engineers. So, I mean, what Jensen knows or doesn't know, what his opinions are, when it comes to quantum, I would not hold Jensen's opinions. I would not take them too seriously.